Hello everybody, this is Count Christo and this is another HOI4 Dev Diary quick look. I'm very excited about this one, so I thought I would share my excitement with you lot. The link to the Dev Diary is in the description if you want to check it out for yourself, but without further ado. So, Podcat has finally given us what we want. He's given us a dive into many of the naval changes that are coming. There is so much to look at in this freaking screenshot. So, let's get it in a... get it in a new tab here. Okay, so first off, freaking naval theaters. Yes. So you can make armies, not armies. They're called I forget, task forces. I think he called them task forces. Yeah. So you can have task forces, which are basically like armies, and you also have theaters of navies. He's cut off the bottom of the screen, the sneaky devil. I'm guessing because the UI for how like an admiral commands the task, the like. I don't know what they're going to call it. The theater or the fleet, and then the task force is in the fleet. We'll see. But he's cut that off, so we can't see how that works yet. I presume something like the general UI. But yeah, so here's how it goes. You can see the new little fuel thing. Fuel. I don't understand this because fuel is going up, like 3 upward green chevrons, and yet 1.75 years. So he can't be gaining fuel because there's a timer. Not sure. Maybe it's a timer if you used fuel as fast as you could, but that seems unlikely. Anyway, there's also... So, basically, this alone I think is very exciting. Basically, reasons to keep your fleet in smaller units, much less doom stacking, much less unrealistically massive decisive battles where you just kind of one side loses all of their ships and the other side loses none of their ships, and it's all just a bit over at once. Less of that is fantastic. Then if we look over here, look at this UI, there's so much. So I guess this one is... repair or upgrade? Seems like something like that. And then we've got patrol, same as before. These are changing up, as he says in the dev diary, and we'll look into that in a second. Then there's set mines, mine sweep, convoy escort, or transport troops, I guess. Which I guess means now you can assign fleets to transporting troops, which would be so cool. This is speculation, by the way, obviously. This symbol, I think, means it's a strike force, but it could also mean pride. You know, contains the pride of the fleet, which would be pretty cool. It's a fuel using thing. I imagine if you hover there, it will show you fuel usage per day if it's deployed on a mission. Other things on here. Scales. What the heck's that? Create 2 equally sized armies, I guess? I don't know. Then, you know, when to go home, whether to split off to repair. We know those 2. What is that one, though? Ah, this is probably reinforced from reserve. There's such thing as a reserve now, which is what this icon is. We'll go into that in just a second as well. This is probably allow reinforcement from reserve, my guess. Or maybe that's make reserve. Could also be that. Set home port, add ships to fleet. What's the difference between these 2? I'm not sure. Cut in half and... don't know what that one is. Whether they should attack subs? Whether they should operate day and night? All kinds of awesome stuff in here. This one's probably refit, is my guess. What's that bar? Repair level overall? No, because they all seem fully repaired. Not sure. All kinds of wonderful things to speculate about. What's going on this screenshot. But overall, I have to say, I'm so excited about there now being naval theaters and about all the new stuff in here. Obviously, we can see the admiral traits. That's already been released. They've also, I think that's new, right? They've added the 2-letter classifications to each ship, which means Ad will be pleased. I'll finally learn that BB is battleship and not DD, which I somehow thought was battleship, but there you go. So let's take a look at the rest of the diary. As they said many times before, they are overhauling all naval aspects of the game. Well, most, which is, as he says, a Herculean task, but it's so cool. I already really enjoy playing as like a small nation and building a navy. That island campaign I did, where we managed to take on the entire European navy, it was glorious. So I'm really looking forward to enhanced mechanics around that. So there's task force and missions. Fleets. Okay, so fleets are made up of task forces. So I guess this is a fleet, and then these are the task forces making it up. So there aren't actually, you know, so this represents 24 ships if it's working the same as a if the UI is being sensible, I think. Because then this is 14, yeah. So this number here represents all the task forces in that fleet. Awesome. So some of those missions are designed to cooperate between them, but the fleet has one area of responsibility. I'm very curious what an area of responsibility is and if it's customizable. Like, do you just have to assign people to like Northwest Atlantic, or can you customize which zones is their area of responsibility? We shall see. We shall see. Yes, you can split things off to repair. You can set their risk and aggressive stance. Also, very cool. Fleets like army groups are visible and organized into theaters, in this case naval theaters, which is so cool. I wonder if you have to switch between showing naval theaters or all theaters. I really hope it just shows all theaters, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, Navy uses up more fuel than anything else, so you need to be very careful. So, for example, search and destroy will no longer make you just constantly moving around, just like... yeah, so old search and destroy has been removed because you no longer just constantly hunt. Basically, you have some ships patrolling, and it makes sense to not use your heaviest capital ships to patrol. You instead use nimble light ships to reveal where an enemy fleet is, and then once you know where it is, your task force can go out and get it. I'm very curious as to whether that will be affected by things like radar technology, because it absolutely should. Whether you can affect it, whether like carriers are just stupendously good at spotting because they can send out, you know, scout aircraft. I think scout aircraft had a fairly significant range. I could be wrong though. That would be a really cool, you know, way of doing it. Like you could, it'd be really risky though, right? Because you send out a couple of your, you know, if you spread out your carriers to spot an enemy fleet, if they spot your carriers, then they could get in and kill them before you can unify, which will be very cool. Oh yes, okay, it's going fast because I built a decent radar net to support my ships, but I want to know about ship radar. I want to know how that works, but we'll have to wait for that. So, as you can see, there's this progress bar, which he teased in a Twitter podcast, that is, Twitter post yesterday. You have progress towards detecting them, and then once you detect them, you can attack them. That's interesting. He's got the crown thing as well. Maybe it is pride. Because this isn't a strike force, I'm guessing. It looked like, I thought it was a raiding fleet he was talking about. Interesting. Yeah, so when you get to 100%, you can send the task force and engage, but they won't necessarily immediately engage. It'll depend on their aggressiveness setting. So this fleet obviously is going to go and engage because there's, I believe how this works, by the way, 12 capital ships, 45 sub-capital ships. That's why there's a little star here, but I don't know if that's confirmed. As you can see, so this fleet is spotting. I'm guessing spotting fleets will do everything they can to avoid combat, but it's really cool. That adds lots of new mechanics for wanting you to have smaller ships, right? Because you need something to nip around and do all your detecting. It's so cool. Can you tell I'm excited? If the battle would be a pushover for the patrol group, they'll deal with it without calling in the strike force and burning all that fuel. Awesome. Good to know. Okay. The solution. So this is the solution to the doom stacking thing, right? So if they're very distant or if they have low organization level, then there'll be a significant delay between when they can actually get to the fight, right? If they're not organized, ready for combat, then they can't do it, which means you'll have less doom stacks, and because combat is much shorter, that means it's much easier to play a war of attrition. Let's say you're Germany, right, and you've got, let's say, well, let's go historical. Let's say you've got 3 big capital battleships. I believe that's correct. You can imagine yourself sending out a couple of submarines, stealthily detecting the British destroyer and cruiser forces patrolling the North Sea, and then you strike with your destroyers. With your battleships. You get in there, you annihilate their cruisers, and then you pull out again. And you pull out before they can detect you, and before they can have time to actually properly get in and reinforce the battle. I have to imagine if you're in a defensive battle, you can immediately join it, but they'll still be in really low organization, right? Because we've shown, he said that organization is going to be low until you're actually there. Oh, did he say that? I'm not sure he did. But that would make sense, wouldn't it? If the strike forces had low organization until they actually knew they were going into battle and they start building it up. Or maybe you only have high organization when you're burning fuel, all those kind of things. It'll be very interesting. So generally, what they're aiming for, he doesn't say how he's going to do it, which is fair enough. It's early days. Less decisive battles, much more important things to do with fleet composition. Very, very cool. So I'm really excited about this dev diary. This screenshot alone just makes me absolutely nerd out. Which I'm just so looking forward to learning what this button is, and I want to know, this has to be like support convoys, right? But yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing huge surface raiding battles against Britain as Germany. That's going to be really good fun. Or being able to absolutely annihilate the United States if you're playing as fascist Spain. You can do these huge, strikes against the US transports and resources trying to go across the Atlantic. It would be such good fun to like devastate D-Day by just having a fantastic kind of nippy strike force of these super fast battleships, which just go in and smash the enemy convoys and get out before they can be detected. That'd be so cool. Okay, the rest is just a recap. Let's go through it real quick. So there's naval terrain now. You can check that in Naval Diary. And of course, we've looked into repair. And there's going to be options for ship design, which is going to be so cool. They haven't told us much about that yet, but it's going to be so cool. You get to design and refit ships. So very, very cool. Which means hopefully, you know, add radar, better torpedoes, defense against acoustic torpedoes. There's loads of really cool things that could be added in. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I just wanted to share my excitement about this new Dev Diary. I will see you next time I want to nerd out about the latest Dev Diary. Bye-bye.